Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verses 18 through 29. Jesus is speaking to the leader of the church in Thyatira. Now, Thyatira was a town of a lot of crafts guilds. And in order to have a job, you had to belong to the guild. And each guild had a god or goddess that was sort of like its patron god. And so they would have their union hall meetings were at a temple. And if you were part of that guild, that union, you had to be a part of that worship. Now, so he says, these are the words of the Son of God. I'm God, and I have eyes that burn right through you. I see right through you. I know I can search your hearts and minds, right? And he said, I have burnished bronze feet. And the thing about that is that this metal doesn't rust, it is firm and strong, and it ain't going anywhere. He has the feet that are immovable, right? So he goes on to say, I know your deeds, your love, your service, how you've persevered in serving others, and you love to show that you care for people. That's what he's saying to them. But I have this against you. You tolerate Jezebel. Now, Jezebel was a queen back in the Old Testament who basically brought in another god, Baal, and said, you know what? You can have both. You can have both Yahweh, the Lord God of Israel, and you can have this other God too. You can have both of them. You can tolerate, this other God, she said. And so this Jezebel, this false prophet, is misleading and teaching them false. She's leading them into sexual immorality, saying, God doesn't mind. We can fudge on this part of your life. And consuming what is dedicated to false gods is to dedicate to consume what's dedicated to evil. And I would ask you, what diet of garbage do you consume from this society? In TV, streaming services, music, images on the internet, right? All of that is spiritual junk food. It's not even, it's worse than junk food. It's poison. And so he goes on in verse 22 to say, don't make your bed with her. Don't get in bed with Jezebel, because he says, I will strike her children dead. And what he's saying is, each believer is responsible for their own path of faith. You can't blame the leader if you know better and you keep following them. And so I will strike the children of false teaching dead. He goes on to say, now to the rest of you who don't hold to her teaching. See, again, you are responsible for knowing the truth and following the apostolic teaching, right? He says, and you haven't learned Satan's so-called deep secrets. I'm not going to impose any other burden on you than you simply trust me. And that's the thing is, when the guild guys would say, well, you know what, I'll cut corners here, I'll cut corners there. You're basically saying, I do not trust God to take care of me. Because if I don't make my guild happy, I'm not going to have a job, I'm not going to have work. And you're not trusting God, who is the head of all guilds, to take care of you. And so he says, the one who is victorious and does my will, in the end, I'll give authority. He speaks, the reference here in verse 27 is from Psalm 2, verse 9, about the Messiah who overcomes the nations. And I will give you the one morning star. And that morning star is Jesus Christ himself. Thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.